Welcome everybody! Kalispell Dynasty Football has returned here on NCAA Football 14, and we're live with the Year 11 offseason. There's the echo I gotta get rid of. How's it going, everybody? Good to be here with all of you today. Just a few minutes late. I had to take care of some weird audio issues. I'm not even sure how it got messed up, but that's how things go. How's everyone doing? It's a college football Saturday. Yes, I got my hair cut. I was tired of dealing with it. Will this be the last season? You know, Aiden, I'm not sure yet. I really don't know. And normally, like, before I end a season like this, I'd like to know going into the season. But, I actually really don't. And I don't want to force it one way or another right now. But Warhawk football is set to return this Saturday. And we will get through this entire offseason today. It should be an interesting one. And we'll get prepared for year 12 of the series, as we continue to push this series beyond anything I've done from a similar series anyway. I've gone further in my franchise rebuilds on the second channel, but those are very different series. But we're obviously coming off a national championship defeat last time after winning 3 in a row. And we'll see, you know, how many players are we really going to lose? It's possible we lose more players to early declares for the draft. And, you know, there tend to be a couple surprises in these off seasons. But we'll see what's around the corner as we prepare for the 2024 season. Just letting things fill up here. And I'll answer some questions and talk to you guys a little bit. I'll be getting to the Twins franchise next week. That'll be the next thing that I do after getting this taken care of. I did the surf stream earlier this week. So next week we'll have everything back to normal. What's going on, Blackjack? Everybody's going to the NFL draft, apparently. I mean, we're good enough for that, I think. How about my Nats? Yeah, almost a no-hitter last night. That was pretty impressive. Nationals were my pick as of yesterday to go to the World Series, so that's looking good so far. Was watching Texas and Oklahoma. It wasn't anywhere near as good of a game as I expected it to be. What's going on, Blackjack? Good to see you here. Of course, Blackjack has helped out a ton with this series. And thank Blackjack, everybody, for his contributions to not only this series, but also the Denver Broncos franchise, which will have some players from this series. I just wanted to refresh my memory on a few of these things here, as we're coming off a year of Luke Irvin starting as a redshirt freshman. 32 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. Austin Jenkins did really well as a running back. I expect he'll be back for his senior season where he can build upon really impressive numbers. Drake Maddox, as a freshman, really tore things up in the second half of the year to lead the team in not only yards, but receptions and touchdowns. Tyrone Houston, 9 touchdowns, is our primary vertical threat. Nick Lindsay didn't get as many touchdowns. He makes a lot of catches out of the slot. Sherrod Edwards did show some big play potential in a handful of games, especially, what was it, the national championship, where he had that really big touchdown catch. Ian, thank you for becoming the newest member to the channel. Testing out the little goal down below here to see that on display. And also the tip jar is pretty fun. I always like watching streams that have the tip jar. I don't know, I just kind of enjoy watching it a little bit. Ugh. Jamari Akinjide finally graduating after 19 years at Kalispell. That's right. He got his master's degree like twice, and no one even noticed he's played for 2 decades. But yeah, this team is obviously in very good shape to continue winning, although there's a chance we lose some key players that I wasn't counting on. We also have a really good freshman class coming in we'll begin to see with the practice that we always do following the off-season stuff. Samuel, thank you for the super chat. Hey, Kane, when we get to scheduling, can we play an FCS school? I'd love to see the Warhawks drop 100 points on someone just once. It's tempting, but when you consider, like, I really want to be able to play interesting non-conference opponents every year, and I like making the schedule tough, so I don't ever schedule FCS opponents. Maybe if I do a really bad team again from the start or something, I will. Akinjide went to medical school and then law school. That's right. That granted him all the extra years of eligibility. Lucas, thank you for becoming a member. And for channel members, I'm looking to do the channel member live stream. I said yesterday, 2 Saturdays from now. The only thing I could see interfering with that might not actually be an issue. I think I'm going to do the Broncos franchise offseason that same day. I know we're not quite there yet, but I'm projecting it'll be then. One second. I'm trying to see if this menu really isn't staying up to date. Oh, no, never mind. It was 2 members, 1 super chat, not the other way around. Broncos first season, when will it be done? Either next week or early the following, but I think everything sets up for the offseason to be 2 weeks from today. My favorite player on Kalispell right now? This roster right here? Man. Why you make me pick like that? Oh, man. Drake Maddox last year. The way he came on, that was really fun to watch. James Huggins on defense. Just, he's such an impact player. Knows how to take over a game. Juno Springs. That'd have to be my top 3. Maybe Jamari with his great season last year. So who all are we losing for sure then? Let me get things situated here with my screens. For a couple weeks I had to use a single screen setup. Wow. Back to the Stone Ages. That was not the best time I've ever had. By the way, subscriptions. If you subscribe to the channel, that should also affect the tip jar today. For whatever reason, it was not toggled on yesterday, so it didn't work. Lucas, thank you for the super chat. Are you going to do another Dynasty after Kalispell? I don't know. There's a chance that I do a Coach Carousel of some sort, but I don't think that I'm anywhere near ready to stop doing anything or to quit NCAA for good. So I think that if it's not Kalispell, I'll find something else to do. Georgia lost. Yeah, college football is tough because they're, especially like this time of year where the non-conference garbage is out of the way. Like, there are usually a bunch of good matchups going on, but it's hard to watch more than one at a time. Or at least for me, because like I don't keep up with college football the way a lot of you probably do. So like one game is really all I can handle. I don't know most of the players anyway. But let's get through this. We're obviously losing at least 3 starters in the secondary. Tommy Jordan, Jamari Akinjide, Juno Springs. So expect to see an overall hit there when we move from this season to next. We also could lose somebody like Johnny Cabral, although juniors declaring early isn't the most common thing. I believe the most impactful thing that could happen here that's possible is Daniel Foster going pro. He's certainly good enough. But at 92 overall as a junior, I'm really not sure what to expect. But we're also losing Brandon Williams, Jaquan Cunningham. Not losing much on offense. So an offense that got really good down the stretch, on paper should be even better next season. It looks like one of our only seniors on offense is Terry Ingram, and he wasn't even starting. All right. Do I think Penn State is a playoff contender? If I were to answer that question, I'd be guessing. I've been watching more college football this year, but through the moving process, didn't watch much because I already dedicate Sundays to NFL, so I couldn't take Saturday as well with how busy I've been. Robert, thank you for the super chat. What positions do I need most this year, and what am I looking to change for starters at the Broncos franchise? I think I really have to focus on interior offensive line, and then I'd like to find a 3-down linebacker, and I'd like to find an offensive skill player that has a bit more speed than we have on the team. I definitely have a vision for what I want to do with the future, and I think it's exotic smash mouth done the right way. It's not going to be the Titans version. We're going to do it hopefully the right way with this team. Let me link this quick. Is Drew Lock staying on board? I don't know. We'll have to see. Someone asked me about Maximum Football earlier, and like yesterday's stream, you know, I've wanted to do some more, you know, just kind of random streams and not worry about them as being videos for the channel, but I want to do some really casual streams. And I think if you guys want to see Maximum Football, I'm down to play it. I know the game is rough around the edges and it needs some work and whatnot, but I'd like to see what they have going right now, and I'd like to, you know, see the progress that they can make. I'm all for other football games, and I know that options have been very limited for the last 15 years, so, you know, it's worth checking out if you guys want to see it. Number 6 going into the offseason, really? Is this the screen where we can see bowl results? I'm making a different song. Some songs loop better than others. This is a good intro song, and that's about it. Let's play something a little more chill for a little bit. So did you guys, I'm looking for the comments now. Do you want to see Maximum Football? Even just a stream? Thoughts on the Vikings so far? Disappointed. Just with how they came out so flat against the Packers and embarrassed themselves against the Bears. Axis Football, I like to check that one out as well. I'm not sure it's out yet. A lot of you want to see it though. Maximum Football. A stream, yes. A series, no. Yeah, I mean, I'm only going to do series on stuff that I think really have potential to be really fun and great, but I don't mind streaming, like, really any sports game. So here are the bowl results then. We have Houston over Wyoming. Oregon loses to New Mexico. Robert, thank you for the super chat. What's your thoughts on Gardner Minshew? I really like what I've seen from Minshew so far, and I'm impressed with how that Jacksonville team now looks like they could be wild card contenders, and Minshew's given them, I think, the kind of play they were hoping to get from Nick Foles, maybe even a little bit better. Super Mega Baseball 2, probably in the spring. I didn't get to it last year, but I really want to get back to playing that game again. I do really enjoy it. But those were the bowl results. Alabama's now an 8-5 unranked team for those wondering. Texas over Navy. Oklahoma. Part of me really wanted to play Oklahoma so I could face Tyson Walker in that offense, although I'm pretty sure we would have lost that game. Twins next week. Will I eventually switch over to Maximum Football? I don't know about switching over. Right now, I've got to I got to try the game first. See if there's some fun to be had there. Up to date on the Heisman standings in real life? I mean, I know Tua and Hurts, maybe CeeDee Lamb. He was sure good today. That was kind of a disappointing game to watch, though. I know Texas had it close for a while, but it never felt that close. But, you know, Hurts had that. They were up 7-0, and he threw that pick across his body. Like, that was a really bad play. Why does this song sound so sad at the end? I don't know if I've ever heard the end of it or paid attention to the end of it. Maximum football equals football dating simulator 2019. Well, in that case, we're going to cancel this and we're going to fire that right up. All right, a 5-year contract extension. What do you think Coach Leon is making at this point? Of course. Although I still want to see the coach carousel. You know, we always expect to lose our coordinators. Although I'm not sure it happened this time. Who's going to Texas? Mike Bloomgren. He was definitely our coordinator at some point. Was he not? Gus Malzahn fired. LSU or Florida? LSU. I hope to watch some of that game. I know the Gophers play late tonight, so I can actually probably watch it. I think that game's at 6:30. So Western Michigan needs a new coach. And they will... Mark Helfrich. I forget how to say his last name, even though he's been coaching in the NFL for a little bit. And I've heard his name a few times. FSU or Clemson? Oh, come on. We're not going to play that game. I think we're all aware that Cam Akers has that one in the bag for the Seminoles. Ugh. Yeah, is Helfrich the Bears OC right now? I thought so. It's hard to keep everybody, hard to remember everything because they had Gase and they had Mark Trestman. I know Helfrich. I don't know how to say his name. Sorry, Blackjack. Cam Akers taking over tonight. You're due for a loss. You need some humbling. You should be a pro commentator. Technically, I am. Like, this is, you know, what I do for a living. It is commentary. It counts in my book. Cashews are here today. I'm really hungry. It's getting real. How's the jar looking, by the way? I need to pull it up. Well, of course, be editing this down for the next episode, and then we'll get to games. I'd like to get the first game of Year 12 up by Saturday. I always like getting Kalispell up on Saturdays for those college football days. Have I ever tried shortbread cookies? Oh, come on. Shortbread's among the best cookies there are. Absolutely. You guys ever get the cookies at IKEA? They're pretty good. They're not shortbread, not the ones I got. But, I don't eat sweets all the time. But I do like shortbread cookies every now and then. I guess I'm doing this to see if we lose anybody, but it's kind of boring. Spoken like a married man. Yep. You get married and you go to IKEA. It's part of the process. There's one right next to the Mall of America if you get out there, by the way. Winston, thank you for the super chat. Hey, Kane, just joined that Florida game. This is one of the best games on your channel. The flow of it was good and it felt like a real championship game. Yeah, I would totally agree. It was one of the most fun games I've played against an option school. That was the Oregon playbook, by the way. And it was a really refreshing game. It was fun. All right. We'll just back out of here and look at the coaching changes menu. Upset pick for the games tomorrow. I looked at the slate last night. Let me just pull up the schedule again. I think the Lions against the Packers without Devontae Adams is really interesting. You know what? Let me see the spreads. Let me see if there's actually one that I really like. I'm not the most contrarian guy when it comes to these picks. Play North Carolina. I don't know who I'm playing yet besides Fresno. I know that's going to happen for sure. Maybe Oklahoma. Let's see. Seattle's road favorites. That's an interesting one in Cleveland. No one's going to pick the Browns after Monday night. Man, there's a few interesting games on this schedule, but it's kind of an underwhelming 10 games. I think the Saints as road dogs in Jacksonville's a good pick. Maybe even Arizona, just because Atlanta's defense is non-existent. All right, let's check out players leaving. And remember, anybody who declares for the draft is allowed to go. I will not negotiate to keep him here. So let's see if there are any surprises. Will Daniel Foster be leaving, for instance? We have one declare, Johnny Cabral, for the 6th round. The reason why I'm not going to negotiate to keep anybody staying is because, 1, challenge, 2, realism. Like, underclassmen declare all the time, and they go undrafted now, too. It's, ever since, 2012, we've seen more and more underclassmen declare, regardless around. But, Cabral, that hurts. Johnny's one of my favorite run blockers from this entire series. 19 pancakes last year. A lot better run blocker than pass blocker. He'd fit really well on my Broncos team. 98 acceleration, 75 speed. Really, really fun player. He opened up a lot of lanes last year for Austin Jenkins, so that certainly hurts. Juno Springs, undrafted free agent. Oh my goodness, the disrespect on Juno, because he's 5'8", 187. The size is probably the reason why. But we have Jamari Akinjide, Tommy Jordan, and Brandon Williams all draftable. That sounds about right. I could see Cunningham going undrafted because nose tackles are not a priority right now in the NFL. And then coach changes. Yeah, Todd Gurley isn't playing tomorrow, so I expect a lot of carries from Malcolm Brown. Bam, thank you for the super chat. Maybe I should stop eating for a little bit. I'm 6 years in a dynasty, and Auburn runs a triple option. They average 500 yards rushing per game, and they have 3 Heisman candidates. They have been number 1 for the last 2 seasons. Took me to 8 overtime playing them. Thank you for the super chat. Yeah, I actually think Auburn's running a option scheme in my game too, because their running backs have a ton of production. It's very common. There must be something in the game that is triggering that to happen. I'm not sure. Do you think it might be it's obviously part of the option schools. My thought is that these coaches are coming from like Navy, Army, Air Force. Those teams end up being pretty good, and so their coordinators have to eventually go somewhere. And I think that if you played long enough, it'd just be option schemes all over the entire nation. Yep, 2,800 yards for the top backs is pretty common for option teams. We saw that for Florida's back last year. Holy cow, we didn't lose any coaches this year. All right. I almost always have to talk about who's next. By the way, Cliff Kingsbury, Utah offensive coordinator. Any coaches you want to check on? I see the cashews are helping fill up the bottom of that cup now. That's pretty cool. Yeah, Darrell Henderson hasn't played a single snap in a while, so that is really high risk. It is still high reward being RB2 in that offense, but I still think a lot of the work is going to go to Malcolm Brown. I think when he's gotten carries, he's looked good, and he's been there a couple of years. The other side of that is just project Jared Goff to throw it 50 times. I want to go back to players leaving quick and just take a look at some of our rivals. Washington is losing a lot of good talent here. I wonder how they're going to look. That's a ton of players gone. Washington State. I see at least 3 corners in this. Utah, USC, Jason Murray, projected round 1. This will be useful too for me to look at who I want eventually in this draft class. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Transfer KC. There's no other KC. We're KC. Are we getting a transfer for the first time? It sounds like he's not on the CPU team anymore. Who's KC if it's not us? Kansas City. No. Oh yeah, all teams here is a good way to go about it. I believe we are getting a transfer, everybody. Oh wow. Robert Carroll, round 1. Tyson Walker, round 1. How does 99 overall Tim Snyder go undrafted, though? Is it because he's only 5'8"? That's surprising. Yeah, I think in the draft class we do for this year, Blackjack, like Tyson Walker and his top receiver, Cornelius Davis, makes sense. Robert Carroll. Jason Murray should probably be in it as well. And then we'll figure out what else we want to do. Jamie Alexander, possibly. I really don't like the height requirements for the draft in this. It messes with draft results so much. I wish it had more to do with stats over overall, too. Yeah, the Florida has 2 running backs projected to go in the top 2 rounds. Jasper Holland is not going to be drafted, though, Blackjack. Looks like he's a camp arm. Practice squad for 2 years. All right, that's pretty exciting, though. It looks like we have a transfer request. I didn't think we'd find it in that menu. For the first time ever, a player wants to transfer to Kalispell, Montana. It's Justin Harris of UNLV. He has 79 speed, 41 awareness, 71 tackle, 74 block shed. His cover skills are not great. Let's let him here. Let's bring him in. I could move him to linebacker and play him in that kind of role, yeah. So Cabral ended up going a round higher than projected, actually. That's cool. 5th round for Johnny. 1st round, Jamari Akinjide. Let's go Florida. Robert Carroll, round 1. RJ Bailey, round 2. Future NFL Hall of Famer. He's already like 34, though, graduating from Kalispell. He doesn't have time to build a Hall of Fame resume. Four first rounders here for LSU. 2 offense, 2 defense. Remind me later on when we check out player development to go to Fresno and see the development for Montrell Bonds. Just making sure I didn't miss anything here. Still getting things situated here. Streamlabs OBS is so much better. But now my chat box isn't updating like I wanted it to. Over 600 in the chat right now. Thank you all for spending some time here today. Hey, there's Toa Tuilau Pupu from Minnesota, 7th round, Blackjack. If you haven't already done so, please leave a like on the video and also subscribe to the channel. And when you subscribe, that will drop a little something into the jar. I wonder why this isn't updating anymore. Don't know. Ah, well. I like being able to see the jar in the chat at the same time. That's okay. Hey, I see some subscriptions falling into the jar now. Very cool. Notre Dame. Oklahoma. 4 players in round 1. I would still play them if they have an interesting roster. I want to play really tough teams, though, for non-conference. We're already playing Fresno, who's probably not going to be that tough. And I also want to make sure we protect the rivalry to face Stanford this year, because we still have to defeat them. That's still one of our top goals. And we'll see if they lost anybody important this season. I'm guessing they did, because they're a very solid team. But nobody in the first 2 rounds. So I wonder how strong that team still is. Four first-rounders for Texas. Yeah, 3rd-round fullback. I totally overlooked that. We can't draft 5'8" running backs, but we can take fullbacks in the 3rd round, apparently. Schuler, thank you for becoming, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. If I'm not, let me know. But thank you for becoming the newest member to the channel. Appreciate that. Is Bama having some troubles? Is it like last year when they took on the Citadel and I think we're trailing or we're barely winning at halftime and then blew them out? Alabama only lost 3 players this year in this series. Joaquin Ferreira still at Stanford. I thought this might be his final year. Let me just check it again, although I think I would have seen his name among everybody else. Yeah, he must still be there then. Unless he got drafted last year. I'm not exactly sure. Recruiting time. Bama's tied 7-7. Let's see who they're playing and all the other matchups going on right now. So South Carolina beat Georgia. Oh wow, Georgia was number 3. Forgot about that. Wisconsin's up early. Texas A&M. Okay, and Bama. Oh, Clemson's already up 14-0. So Blackjack can tune out of that one and focus on the stream. Travis Etienne threw a pass. Okay, that's the kind of game it's going to be. I can't believe we're down to number 6. Like, I could see number 2 or 3, but 6? Anyway. Oh, I needed to get a new chair. Yeah, ETN threw a pass according to the box score. I'm looking for a new office chair, by the way. I'm taking recommendations. There's just so much different feedback, and I'm not really sure what to go with. Like, I want to get a really nice chair. I've never had a really nice chair. I look at a lot of places, a lot of, you know, there's a lot of gaming companies that advertise their chairs, and I've seen a lot of feedback saying that, you know, don't go get a gaming chair, just get a regular office chair. I'm not really sure what exactly to get, because I want to get one and then not buy another one for many years. Only the 52nd ranked class right now. That's a lot lower than I'm used to. But yeah, there are only a handful of players I'm still trying to get, and as you can tell, I'm going after really good receivers. But here's who we have already in this class. Let's begin here with the best, and that would be Dahante Jeffries from Fullerton, California. I was prepared if Foster was going to leave early, which he did not, to have Jeffries be one player to potentially take his spot. With excellent speed and man cover ability, he'll allow us to run the scheme that I've gotten pretty comfortable with on defense. We have a new kicker and a new punter this year, Brandon Hammond and Alex Greer. We also have Josiah Jensen, who actually I think is a lot worse than a 76 overall. Only 84 speed and 60 route running, so I do worry about how explosive of a receiver he can be. Plus, like, spec catch and catch in traffic aren't that special either. So, don't want to back out of the menu. Otherwise, it hasn't been the most impactful draft class this year. It was just, tougher than others, I guess. Markel Ingram, a defensive end from Florida, will be coming in with 81 finesse moves, 73 block shed, one of those players that should be really good as a junior, senior. And Stan Carter, very good speed, very good cover guy with press ability, and a 72 hit power at corner is pretty good as well. So the defense continues to get deeper in a season where we lost 3 secondary starters. Overall, I didn't cover as many positions as I would like to, but, sometimes certain positions are tougher to scout or there isn't the right talent available. So, with that being said, looks like we are left to focus on guys like Phoenix Chambers. Yeah, Jeffries was really lucky because I thought that was going to go to the offseason, and I put like 10K into that battle, but instead we win him and now have all these points to put elsewhere. So Phoenix Chambers, 94 speed, 88 route running, a little raw with the 74 catching, 66 spec catch, but day one return skills, good run after the catch guy. Obviously, he's a top target. Do we need receivers? Kinda. There's also Jared Mills. I forget, there's one other receiver here I think was a little overrated. Mills doesn't have the same speed, 79 catching, 86 route running. So I don't see him as being as dynamic after the catch. Solid possession receiver, 80 overall. Really good to start, and if we want him, it's going to take a lot of points because Stanford is right there. So it's all a matter of how hard do we want to compete, because we could put a bunch into Chambers, a little bit into Jackson, probably get both of them, and then let Mills go and not battle there. Oh, and Jed Cartwright, the guard from Ohio, run blocker, high strength. Definitely want him on this team. So right now, I think Chambers and Cartwright are the top points players I need here. Not sure how aggressive Navy and Army are going to be. But let's go 3150 right there. With Chambers, you don't know how many points it's going to take here to hold off ASU. Something like 4K could get it done, but if we lose out, really painful. And then Derek Jackson, we're probably going to get him. We're already 5K up. Jackson has 91 speed. Also is a good route runner. So I'll just put like 250 points into this battle for now. So I guess could potentially try to get Mills as well. Or go after some of these players a bit lower down the board. Let me back out of this for the time being and show you the roster. Obviously, do we need 3 receivers? Probably not 3. I can't check roster from here, can I? But I can check stats. That's strange how they do that. Whoops. So obviously, Houston will be done after this season. Lindsey's only a sophomore. Edwards is only a sophomore. Sully is going to be a senior, of course. So already we're looking at 4 receivers that we're used to, and likely adding many more. James Edwards is also there. But Phoenix Chambers obviously is a top priority. And there was Josiah Jensen. I want to redshirt him for sure, not counting on him to play very early in his career. Yeah, Ty Navarro. There's even him and James Edwards. So it's probably going to get pretty deep at receiver. But at the same time, like, you can get all the top recruits you want, but if they don't play, you know, they could be on their way out. So just got to keep that in mind. So do I want to put points into these other players? Todd West at running back, 84 speed. Oh, he's got decent stiff arm, spin move, and juke. Honestly, he might not be too bad after a couple of years, and we're already winning this one. Samuel, thank you for the $1.01 super chat. I appreciate that. We do need running back depth on this team. Let's see. I was also looking for backup quarterbacks. Didn't really get too far into these recruiting battles, though. Robert Moore might not be that bad to add to the team. I'm not sure what it's going to take. These are just placeholder amounts for now as well. Cameron Page, only a 61 overall. Seth Roberts, 88 spin, 78 elusiveness. I do want to see our running back depth again. I wish I had the full roster menu to look at. Yeah, we do have a lot of different kinds of receivers. Good call there. I feel that Edwards needs to play a ton next year. He's going to be really good. Still got to get the football to Drake Maddox. Like, we didn't lose a lot on offense from this offseason, so I think it's going to be one of our best next year. Is there an option to look at the depth chart in the recruiting menu? How did I not know that? I've done this like 22 times. Oh, is that it there? Thomas, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. All right. So Jenkins, Jackson, Merville. And that's really it. Actually, Jermaine McIntyre, Curtis Tillman, Mark Robinson, very low on the depth chart. Quarterbacks. Antoine Morgan has 67 speed. Good throw power and throw accuracy. If I want another quarterback, they have to have some mobility. And then at receiver, solid top 5 there. Ty Navarro, Travis Spencer, Travis Clemens, Josh Vincent. We're going to have some cuts to make at that position. Yeah, I learn something new every offseason. What would be the fun in knowing it all? Yep, there's a video going up after the stream. Buccaneers franchise on the second channel, about 40 minutes or so. A big episode today. Let me see. It is 42 minutes and 44 seconds of fun. Some good surprises in that episode, too. One you probably will not see coming. So, I do want to put more points here in the Jed Cartwright. Robert Moore. I don't really need to go after him right now. 4 quarterbacks. I could redshirt him. Seth Roberts. Higher overall than some of those other running backs, so they haven't had their development yet. Oh, insta commit. I didn't know it could happen at this stage, but it did. We got one already. Seth Roberts looks interesting, especially now that he is a Kalispell Warhawk. That makes things a little bit easier. Still got a lot of points to spend here. My main thing is I don't want to lose out on the top targets. I could put some points into Mills, and I probably should put some. Don't just want Stanford to get him easily. So how does that look? Chambers, far and away the top target. Then Cartwright, Mills, Jackson have a comfortable lead there. Todd West, Robert Moore. I kind of like where this is at. No, we really don't need Mills. But do we need to put like 8K into Chambers or 5K into Cartwright? One thing to remember with Cartwright is we have multiple teams there to worry about, and we're down. Or I could just take all the points off here and split them between Chambers and Cartwright to make sure we have the best chance to get these two. That's kind of the safe approach. There. I could take a little bit off of Robert Moore. Yeah. Who knew you could insta-commit in the offseason? Yes, Joe, I've learned 2 things today. It's been a very educational stream. Alright. I'm pretty happy with where that's at. I don't like to micromanage the off-season recruiting too much because there's like more feedback than I can handle. I kind of like to get in and out. All right. Signing day awaits. Oh yes, we are going to face Montrell Bonds this year, and he should be starting for Fresno. The jar filling up a little bit. Very nice. Tip jar's a fun little feature. The stream gets really fun once we get past this stage, because it's all about, you know, progression, the practice we do, building up the schedule. All right. Phoenix Chambers, Derek Jackson, Jed Cartwright. No Todd West. We did get Robert Moore. So let's take a look at how this all played out. I love seeing the hindsight here with the battles and what you could have won a player for. Todd West lost by 265. Thomas, thank you for the super chat. Can you make the Michigan starting kicker have my name? I don't want to really get into the habit of doing edits like that because then there's going to be a lot of requests. I appreciate the super chat though and the support. Give Dehante the number 3. Blackjack, give me a number for Jeffries. Robert Moore, 1 by 2K. Well, that was a close one. 3 is retired. Oh yeah, for Warren. The first player that came to my mind was Sonny Archer. I'm not one for retiring numbers usually. Single digits, 7 maybe. I do think single digits for sure. The Legend of Dominic Day must continue. Don't cut that man. Oh wow. Could have easily won Chambers for less. No way of knowing that. And Cartwright. It was good to be aggressive. Jared Mills. So I would have had to put a fair amount of points into Mills to win him in the first place. That played out how I thought it would. We win Jackson, Roberts, Linwood to Washington from Kalispell. We're not even in the top 3. Yeah, I'm kind of like the Cowboys in that respect, where I don't really retire numbers. I'm just more conscious of where those numbers go if I assign them to a player again. Thanks, Dan. Yeah, the haircut. I'm liking it. What I'm surprised by is the Vikings don't really retire numbers anymore. But they've sure thrown Randy Moss's 84 around in the last 8 years. Michael Jenkins, Cordero Patterson, Bucky Hodges, and Herb Smith have all worn 84 since Moss. The Vikings have a ton of players to retire. The Vikings are the most decorated professional sports organization that does not have a Super Bowl or a major championship. No other team out of the titleless teams has the legacy of the Vikings, and that is a fact. So I guess the Vikings are the best of the worst. I'll take it. Position changes. I don't think there's much to do here. No athletes came in this offseason. Year 11. Yeah, I've always wondered if I should call this like the year 12 or whatever, but I just keep it the way it is because it stays in order that way. Browns have won major championships. Yeah, back in the day, pre-Super Bowl era. The Vikings won the NFL championship, but all that got you was a berth to the Super Bowl. We know how that went. Not sure if there is a change to be made. Look how young we are at wide receiver. Who wants to move to tight end? Blackjack, could Ty Navarro put on 25 pounds and be a tight end? Josiah Jensen. Would he make for a good tight end? 80 catching, 71 spec. I'm in favor of moving Josiah Jensen to tight end, to be perfectly honest. I think that's his better position. Sports Fan 98, thank you for, or maybe Navarro, but Sports Fan 98, thank you for the super chat. Run 4-2-5 or 3-3-5 as the base. Have Red as a strong safety in the box. And a linebacker on third down, so he'll mostly mirror tight ends. Yeah, I've got to find a way to use Red's speed. I know at linebacker, when you list him there, he just gets destroyed. It doesn't work. But I think that we could definitely, incorporate even more 3-3-5. I love running that defense. It gets me 3 safeties on the field, and sometimes I just have more safety talent that I want to use. Kyle, thank you. How do I feel the Vikings will end up this year, and is Kirk Cousins the answer? Love you, Hurricane. To answer your question, I don't think Cousins is the answer. I don't think he'll get a second deal in Minnesota, and to me the Vikings are an 8-10 win team. But those 2 wins, that's a wide gap. 8-8, everybody's fired. 10-6 are in the playoffs probably. I feel like I'm not sure I can give a great answer for how many wins I expect. But I think 8-10 is the window. Josiah Jensen, welcome to 57 overall. What would Navarro be? 59. Well, Navarro's already a sophomore. Jensen will get time to develop. He's going to tight end. Yeah, the blocking is obviously going to be an issue. One of the reasons I wanted to move him to tight end was for position minimums. I'm not sure if it's 2 or 3, but if I move Jensen there, then I know I'm over the minimum. His blocking is going to be horrible, but now that he's listed there, he'll develop there. And his run blocking is a 54. Like, 2 years from now, he'd just be a bad blocking tight end. He wouldn't be, like, incapable of blocking. 56 awareness if I want to keep it the same. All right. Yeah, Navarro would get it this year for sure. I know. Who wants to move them both to tight end? £193, though. I think that he's got to stay a receiver. All right, Blackjack, final call. If you're still here, Ty Navarro to tight end. You make the call. Do it for practice. I have to do it now if it's going to happen at all. I'm not sure if Blackjack is still lurking in the chat. At 193, yeah, exactly. Or do I move him up to like 205 and drop speed by a couple? All right, Blackjack said yes. We now have 4 tight ends. Opinion on the Cowboys this year? I think they're a really good team. They just coming off a really bad game against the Packers. Like, I thought Dak was playing really well this season up until last week. And then just the Packer game looked like really heavy regression from him. Yep. 65 and 56 awareness. Moving someone to right guard is all. Let's see, 64 awareness for Brandon Warren. Stays the same. 2 right tackles, 2 left tackles, 3 left ends, 4 right ends, 5 D tackles. I'm not sure who Joe Smith is. Three left, 3 right, 4 middle. RJ, thank you for becoming the newest member to the channel. I appreciate that. Joe Smith, the GOAT. Oh boy. Every walk-on. 53 overall, though. 275 pounds. I say 53 like it's kind of good because walk-ons can be a lot worse. He is the best press cover defensive tackle on the team. That's gotta count for something. I was gonna say he could block, maybe, but so could all these players. Potentially. 69 injury. Daniel Foster. Let's change the music up. He should play slot corner, you know? I think that's a possibility. Justin Harris. Must be a walk-on. Mark Ostrander, a junior college player from Cut Bank, Montana. Where is that? Cut Bank, Montana. It is very close to the Canadian border. And from Kalispell, it is about 135 miles along Highway 2. I run a jersey business. Would you be interested in getting some Kalispell jerseys or adding them to your merch store? Kinda, yeah. I'm interested in doing something with Kalispell merch. That would be interesting, for sure. Alright, let's check out training results. Yes, looking for +6s, maybe a +7. Check Fresno. Thank you, Joe. Yeah, JD, you can hit me up on Twitter. +3 for Daniel Foster in his final season. A little bit faster. He is a cheat code at cornerback. +5 for Luke Irvin. +5 for Brandon Smith. Austin Jenkins gets the +6. And Mike Butler with a boost, Nick Robinson, Jaron Williams, James Huggins. Oddly enough, Huggins is not the top overall rated linebacker on the team. Eric Bryant, Tyrone Houston, +2 speed. 97 speed for Houston. Jim Jackson, +6. Blackjack. Why is Colt Sully only +3? Got some 4s in here. Jaden Jordan only a 3. +7, Kevin Hampton. That's what I'm talking about. Putting in that off-season work. Red has 98 speed now. I'll go through the top ratings after we're done here. +6, Mark Robinson. And Dominic Day, +6. He's been working hard. And Justin Harris, ineligible to play this season, but he got +5. Ty Navarro, +5. Trey Dunn, +6. Yeah, look at our running back progression. We have a good running back program, okay? Curtis Tillman, +7. We know what we're doing there. But now we must cut some players. It's so fitting that our running backs all go like +6 and 7. I have to cut 10 players. Are you kidding me? Well, we're going to start by switching my scheme so I can cut Nate Massey. Is this where I do the editing, by the way? By the way, Leon. Still only 22 years old. How old is Leon Daniels these days? At least 56 years old. Younger? Yeah, spread option. A little bit younger, you guys say. How about 50? Sports fan 98. Dominic Day is Pat McAfee, but Day, unlike Pat McAfee, can execute a fake field goal even when Palomalu lines up in the C gap. The legend of Dominic Day. Will it live on through this episode? Gonna have to make some tough cuts then if it's 10. Jeez. Let's get an easy one out the way then. One down. Drew Fry is cut. I may have to cut a running back. Mark Robinson has 68 injury. One of the lowest on the team, I'd have to say. Yeah, I might look at other positions first and just see where else I can make cuts. I'm gonna have to cut some receivers. I have 10. I'm going to cut Travis Spencer. He has very low spec catch, only 73 catching, and his route running is one of our lowest. I don't like cutting players. Samuel, thank you for the super chat. Ed Reed would have made the tackle. Troy Polamalu would have shaved years off your life. Whose quote is that? And yeah, I might also cut Edwards, not Sherrod. But because James is a junior and not really playing, that would create some roster space. There's a backup center that might be someone to cut. Sorry, but I have to cut Joe Smith. 5 to go. Marcus Smith is a junior. He's probably not going to get on the field, so may have to also cut him. Cutting a player with 92 man, 85 zone. Or Brian Rice? What's his ratings look like? 92. Jaden Jordan, remember the play he made last year? Ooh, let's come back to that one. If I cut this player, I'll lose our Montana pipeline. Wow. So this isn't easy. I may have to cut Robert Moore just because I still have to cut 5 players. All right, we're going to cut Curtis Tillman. Only 84 speed. I know we had a +7. He had to get +8 though. Do we cut Colt Sully? Nah, probably not. Jarrell Pruitt. 73. I may have to cut William Perry. This is the hardest roster cut I think I've had to do in the series. We're down to 72. Maurice Doucette, 98 speed. All right, who do we cut here at corner? Not going to be easy no matter what. Cut Townsend, Josh Townsend, 90 speed. We already have 2 more freshmen. We actually have a lot of seniors again at corner. So if I cut Townsend, yeah, we can justify that. Marcus Smith. All right, we're gonna cut Jaden Jordan. Sorry, Blackjack. Oh man. And just one more. And we'll cut Mark Ostrander. And we're down to 70. Which means that Dominic Day made the cut this season. Glad that stage is over. We do have 2 punters. And I could redshirt Dominic Day. His stats are not that much lower than Greer. I could redshirt Day, but then he wouldn't play this year. Will our grade upgrade, or our ranking update when we move to the new season or whatever? How'd off-season recruiting go? Very well. We got a couple good receivers, a really good guard, and not much else happened. Backup quarterback. But overall, the off-season recruiting was not interesting this time because DeHonte Jeffries chose us a long time ago. Am I going to play Penn State again? Possibly. Definitely possibly. Definitely possibly. That doesn't even make sense. I have to refresh my memory on how many times we've played Penn State and if there's still a meeting we need to have with them. Definitely, possibly. Oh yeah, I was going to make Stanford a protected rival, but because it's the off year, we should play them anyway. Are you kidding me? I totally forgot to protect the Stanford rivalry. We never have to edit conference, and now I just remembered we needed to make that change. Wow. There's nothing I can do about it. How does it not have us playing them for 2 years in a row? We know we're going to play Fresno. I'm sorry, I totally forgot about updating the conference. But even then, why doesn't it have us playing them again? Because shouldn't you face, like, the opposite division every other year? Isn't that how it works? I really wish I could fix that now. How are they not on there by default? Aren't these the same teams we played a year ago? We played Oregon last year, and Washington State, and UCLA. I'm not sure our entire division. Wow, I'm sorry I messed that up. And because of autosave, I can't really do anything about it. I'm pretty sure it auto-saved on me. We're number 5 now. Let's hope Stanford is just like awful and it's okay that we miss them. Nope, they're pretty good with a 99 overall senior quarterback. And Joaquin Ferreira as a senior. No. No. Is there anything I can do? I'm pretty sure it had to autosave on me. I want to play this team so bad. Hope to play them in the conference championship game. There is always that. I'm not going to restart the whole off season. I saved a separate file. I could try to reload my save and just see the last autosave. It's probably my only shot. So why don't I try that? I'll just quit out of the game. I'll load it back up. It's auto-saving everything else. It probably already auto-saved and messed it up. But I'll just, I'll reload the game and answer some questions and talk with you guys. Alright, 1 second while I fix this. We'll just try. I doubt it works. But it'll only take a few minutes to find out. I just can't believe that. I know the odd team scheduling messes it up, but we should face every team every 2 years. Like, there's not a 3-year gap to play conference rivals from the opposite division. Weird. It's all because I wanted to move Hawaii to the Pac-12 all those years ago. Yeah. Pac-12 title game is always a possibility. What's your take on the realism in Madden in regards to Garrett Bowles? All he does is commit penalties. And I checked like the free agent market because I'm like, all right, what if I want to play someone else at center, someone else at tackle? No, they're all 60 overall and under. Can't do it. All right, getting the game back up. Alright, scrolling through all my files. About the Colts, the Colts are a strong team, and I like Jacoby Brissett's chances of leading them to the postseason again. They've become a pretty fun team to watch, though, overall. And yeah, I've gone too far. Unfortunately. Oh yeah, I'm jealous of that O-line. Very jealous of the offensive line the Colts have. Just sneak Stanford onto one of these menus for me. Well, I guess we gotta hope that we meet up in the conference title game then. We'll see. It's not the same schedule. I'm pretty sure we had USC last year. We don't this year. We just got really bad luck. Yeah, regenerate the schedule doesn't change the conference games. It only changes non-conference. That's all we can do, unfortunately. Shouldn't have skipped over that step. I always skip over it because I don't want to see everybody say, like, move to the SEC or whatever. It's alright. Just gotta go to the title game now. I suppose then it's about time for some practice action. Not going to do too much with editing right now. It's already an hour and a half into the stream. So I want to get to the practice action, which is always a really good time, and we'll hopefully get around to seeing a lot of these different players. Now, I think I need to reset formation subs. There's a bug with freezing when you get to the practice at times, and I found that seems to be triggered by certain formation subs. At least when I have reset formation subs, it's fixed this freezing issue. I'll show the sliders quick too. I know some of you wanted to see that. By the way, if you could please leave a like on the video, I'd appreciate that. And if you haven't already done so, hit subscribe and drop a little icon into the tip jar. Channel members, super chats, and subscriptions will all trigger that today. Alright, so I play on Heisman, 25 player speed threshold. I do not edit the penalties, but I do edit the sliders. And here are the user sliders. I like the balance this has brought overall to the series. You can go lower with the CPU quarterback accuracy, but just know they're still not going to miss throws. And when you drop their accuracy, you're basically dropping their ability as well. They'll miss more open players and they're just not as smart. So I like a little bit higher quarterback accuracy for the computer. And also their running back ability needs a lot of help. So that's bumped up to 75. I don't use auto subs. I mostly do manual and formation subs. Lucas, thank you for the super chat. How do I feel about the Fair Play Act that some states are passing? Do I think it'll bring back NCAA football games? It's definitely got a shot. I feel like there's more hurdles that have to be crossed before, you know, a big publisher brings back a licensed college football game. But maybe that door is opening especially. But yeah, I do like that players can at the very least, you know, monetize their own personas. Oh wow, you found NCAA 14 in the garage sale for $2? That is a steal. Hard to find it under 50-60 bucks anymore. And it's probably never going to be available digitally. Maybe in the future. I doubt it though. And here's the thing too. That price ain't going down. It's not like NCAA 14 is some worldwide popular game. They're hard to come across. And you gotta remember, on the Xbox 360, those aren't Blu-ray discs. And when you're on the Xbox 360, you're a little more at risk to the console eating away at the disc or just regular damage to it. I lost a fair amount of 360 discs back in the day, but on PS3, those are all Blu-ray. You pretty much gotta take a chainsaw to one to break it. I've never had an issue with a single Blu-ray disc. So in theory, depending on how many are out there, 360 games usually sold better than PS3, but a quality 360 copy I think would be the better investment compared to a quality PS3 copy. There might be more, I think PS3 outsold 360 after a while, after the fact. By the way, those discs are valuable, and they'll remain that way, unless the game becomes available digitally. Or there's a new NCAA football game, and people forget about this one. Yeah, I'll probably get a PS5 when it drops, although, you know, I'm nowhere near as excited as I was for the PS4. I just feel like, sure, the console's probably going to be a lot more powerful, A lot of buzzwords that I don't understand. All I know is that this generation gave us Uncharted 4. It gave us Red Dead Redemption 2. Like, I don't care how much better the console is, because it's not like the games are going to be twice as good. I'm sure that a lot of games will run better, and, you know, if we can get like 60 frames on console, that's going to be a big deal. More so than 4K, I feel. So, I don't know. I think hardware-wise, sure, there might be a lot of numbers that are a lot higher than current numbers. But we're getting pretty state-of-the-art games right now, and I feel that a lot of people are going to be very content staying with their Xbox Ones and PS4s, especially if they got Pro. But if you were in the market for a Pro or an Xbox One X, you're probably in the market for the new iterations as well. So I don't know. Let me know if there's a PS5 that doubles as like a Switch copycat. That's what I would like to play. I was really down on the Switch when it was announced, but I mean, they put some really good games on it, and I wanted to play them. And then I played the Switch a little bit, and I'm like, wait a minute, I wish everything I played was on here. There are a lot of games that have come out recently where I'm like, oh, if this was on Switch, I'd be so happy. Just because I could play it anywhere, pick up, put down, whatever room I'm in. Like Borderlands 3 would have been so good on the Switch. I do have it now on PlayStation, really enjoying the game, but if that game was on Switch, I'd probably have like double or triple the hours played. Sword and Shield, oh yeah. I'll be picking that up. Can't wait to see what that's all about. Ready for a home console Pokemon experience, or really more of a hybrid experience. Can sit down on the couch for 5 hours, or bring it with me somewhere. Play on the go. Why don't we see some players that we don't normally see all the time? I think we have to see some of these new receivers. Phoenix Chambers. Let's get Derek Jackson out there. Colt Sully can play too. And then on defense, we're going to see Foster. Then we're going to see DeHonte Jeffries. Elliott Red at free safety. I'll obviously want to see what he's able to do. Not sure who the starting strong safety is going to be yet. We're obviously very thin at that position. We could see Ronnie Howard get out there, but he might even be playing corner. Braylon Kendrick. Obviously, Huggins has to play. I say that like it's a bad thing, but he's got to be on the field. And let's get Patton Applewhite there. Let's put Bill Long on the field. I'll, of course, be doing a practice stream this week sometime. I missed him because he's at the very top of the list. Michael Hurst. Will Somerville find that freshman form as a junior? And let's get Trey Walker out there. Practice my fake punts. Let me back up to about the 40-ish yard line. And a new play. I'm picking Sobble. I don't know what starter I want yet. Sobble's pretty cool, though. This might actually be one generation where I have a really tough time deciding on my starter, and there's not just one that I really want to pick. We gotta send Chambers downfield. Now, okay, he's too fast. Okay, you can't just leave the safety to hopefully keep up with Phoenix Chambers. Up top now against Foster. Oh, it was in his hands. I want to see Houston on a streak. You got it. Okay, 2-on-1 against Foster. He's too good. How about Houston on a jet sweep? That worked out pretty well for us a year ago. By the way, are you guys getting game audio from this? I think I have my TV muted. I don't really need it on my end. Alright. Watch out. That time, Kent stayed in good position. Let's see. Oh, he's blitzing now. That's easy. Or not. James Huggins in man-to-man coverage there. Ooh. And now testing Jeffries with Jackson. Incomplete. Yes, there's game audio. Good. Ooh, DeHonte Jeffries with the ball skills. I do kind of want to see how far Irvin can throw this ball. But they're going to have to stop pressuring me so much. And I shouldn't call a screen pass. Alright. I need clean pockets. Just one. Yeah, the defense always looks good in these practices. Like there. Ronnie Howard playing the run. Like a safety. Well, I guess he plays a little safety and corner. I can't believe I forgot to get Stanford on the schedule, though. I just totally forgot. Oh, that's my bad. I really wanted that for this year. Wow, Elliott Red. I don't care if that didn't count. I saw it happen. I haven't gotten one on Jeffries yet. What are these plays? So many, like, RPOs, but there's no actual run option. I guess they call that play action, but those aren't standard play action plays. It's like the prequel to RPO. Empty spread. There's even a lot of garbage in here I don't want right now. I guess it's just the way it is. Yeah, Red had a couple nice plays. That one-handed catch. I want to see if he can do a little more of that. Got him that time. There's how fast Irvin looks here as a sophomore. You can call a few of these. Maybe in the red zone to try and score. Quarterback wrap. Ooh. Red almost got there. That's a tough play to make. He was way far away. Now Red over the top. Ooh, but Jeffries. Wouldn't mind seeing a few more of those. This ain't my playbook. I forgot, it's organs. Get me out of here. I want my playbook back. I didn't recognize like half those formations, no wonder. Question of the day, does Lightning McQueen have life insurance or car insurance? I think whatever policy ends up being more expensive. That's the boring answer though. I have to say car insurance. Because I don't think life insurance is going to cover like a busted bumper or something. You gotta get car insurance in that case. And plus, the life insurance on a car, like, what would that have to be worth? There's my offense. No, don't discard. Save it. No Stanford. Yeah, I messed it up. I forgot to protect the rivalry. And for some reason, we don't even play him this year. 2 years in a row, no Stanford. I know that it's not protected, but I assumed that at least we'd be saved by, you know, playing your conference opponents at least once every 2 years. But there's always a chance for the conference championship, and if that happens, I think it'll be saved. Potentially our head-to-head during the season could result in one of those teams not making the conference championship game, so perhaps there's a good chance of it happening as long as we do what we gotta do and they don't mess it up. No, I think the sweater's been working for Leon. I'm not sure I'm telling a coach who's won 3 national titles to change his look. So, Bama's up by 11 at the half. Wisconsin up 17-0. Every time I check their stats, Jonathan Taylor has like 250 yards rushing, but not today. Only 58 and a touch. The Gophers being undefeated doesn't mean much. They've played 4 one-score games against teams that weren't that good, and then they beat Illinois more decisively. I guess, you know, winning 5 in a row is impressive. They didn't trip up enough in any of those games to give it away or anything. But, I don't want to get excited until they can beat someone better, and Nebraska, it's a solid opponent, so if they can beat Nebraska, then that'll be fun. But they don't play Michigan this year, I don't think. I think they have a pretty easy-ish schedule for the Big Ten. And they don't play Wisconsin until the last week. Yeah, so they'll play Rutgers, Maryland, and then they close 3 out of their last 4. Penn State, Iowa, Wisconsin. Still not thinking they're going to win any of those 3 games. Not convinced yet. They have the Patriots schedule. It's really easy, and then, yeah, there are a few tough games, but overall, it's a pretty easy schedule. And that's the only time I'll ever be able to compare the Minnesota Gophers to the New England Patriots. So I took that chance when I could. Colt Sully! Oh, man. That spec cat shines through over and over again. We all need to just sit here for a moment. Can he do it again? That is the question. Oh my God! Hawkness Monster! Loving Texas so far. Plus go Seahawks. I don't mind Seattle. Seattle's a cool team. Colt Sully! Who? Okay, this isn't gonna count. We'll send him deep again. Irvin up top. Sully is there. Oh, the streak is over. But how about that? More standard for Colt. Colt Sully. That's what he does. Roll out. Get it down there. In the end zone. Okay. Oh, that wasn't gonna work. Yeah, Irvin. I mean, we've seen it for a couple of years now. His passes are real nice. Alright, let me get to some subs though. Sully will still be on the field, but I need to get Phoenix Chambers back out there and a few others update that stuff. Irvin's been pretty good, but let's get Matt Reddick out there now. And at running back, let's go with one of the new players. Let's try Seth Roberts. Let's try Josh Vincent out there. And at tight end, we're going to put out Ty Navarro. And I might still edit his speed and weight. Make him a little bit heavier and drop his speed and acceleration and agility a little bit with the switch to tight end. I'm going to try different linebackers, actually. Let's put Rayshawn McNeil. Let's try Matt Armstrong and Cameron Stewart. And we'll get Dahante Jeffries out there, along with Stan Carter. Elliott Red still needs his reps. Okay, okay. And now we're running the right plays. And if any option pops up, we at least have Reddick out there. Alright, so Seth Roberts, number 40 for now. That'll likely change. I believe he has 87 speed. Might be a decent running back in a couple of years, but he just fumbled the football on us. Should have a matchup here with Chambers and Jeffries. That's the one to watch. And Chambers wins this one. That's one for Chambers. Uh-oh, overthrown by a mile. That accuracy for Reddick is still concerning. Ooh. You really just can't go deep with him at all. Very limited. Ooh, a drop. Do I ever rage playing? Not football. No. Not football. Sometimes MLB, I get upset when I just can't hit. I know my swing is wrong and I just can't fix it. But otherwise, not really. Hey, that was quite the coverage there, Jaron Williams. Roberts, I believe he does have good pass catching skills, if I recall. That's a throw right there. Do I miss Ja'Cory Day? Of course, especially with how good our offense has gotten. Imagine if we had him on one of these teams. Or if he was on a Brandon Warren, you know, at his best team. Oh, Sully. Sully! The Broncos series is all Madden. I wish it was on All Pro, but EA hasn't done enough to make All Pro more ratings based. It's still very animation focused and just a lot of the interactions. The problem with All Pro is that it doesn't create enough ratings based outcomes. There are certain plays that just work against certain coverage, and you know, you just don't get the ratings based experience, and you have to manipulate the game if you want it. I mean, one thing I did out of the box this year is I played a game where I put like all my backups as starters and just played a regular all-pro game. And if Madden was rating based, it would be very lopsided. If I'm playing with all 60s against a normal team, yeah, I should get blown out. And at the very least, there should be some clear weaknesses in the trenches and in coverage. And really, it's just the behavior is so like ingrained into the game that they've got to get out of their own way and just let ratings determine 99% of outcomes, or as many as they can. It's very frustrating because if the game... The reason why I think everybody's frustrated is because the game isn't at a point where ratings are always playing and determining the difference. Obviously, there are instances where they do, and you know, every play has some sort of rating on rating interaction, but there are still a lot where it's like, you know, man coverage against this route almost never works, or you know, the pass rush against the play action functions like this, or this player always blocks like this against this front. Like on a lot of pulling guard plays, a lot of runs are busted just because they don't know who to go block. Ratings are not accurately representing what they should be in essence, yes. I would say non-ratings outcomes are the biggest problem in Madden. Ratings can't do it alone. They need proper interactions and player spacing to trigger them. So a lot of off coverage is just not going to work because, well, obviously there are instances where, like, if you're playing 8 yards off and the receiver runs a slant, I'm not so worried about that. But there are plenty of other alignments where you can tell that it's not, you know, rating on rating outcome. Sometimes the players can't get out of their own way, and they're not even getting to the point where the ratings can take over a certain sequence. And that's where it's easier, you know, with a game like NBA or MLB, because it's easier to simply say, okay, when the player swings, here's what's going to happen based on ratings and the pitch and the pitching ratings. You can basically run a game like that off of algorithms and stuff like that, because you don't need animations to match up perfectly. Like when you dig into replays in MLB, it's not like, you know, launch angle is perfectly animated off the bat. That's not the case. But animation doesn't really matter as much because there's less interactions with each other. So it doesn't have to be perfect. And those things aren't easily noticeable until you slow them down or zoom in. There are still some weird instances in MLB, but I think that's more of a tuning issue than like player behavior issue. Things like base hits on late swings where you're jammed, they always seem pretty bad. And yeah, things like 2K, simply determining what is a player's, you know, open shot rating. Is he contested? You simply have to, you know, see, is there a player within reach? Is, you know, his hand up? Is he heavily contested, lightly contested, or smothered? And so you can just constantly run through the algorithm there and put percentages based on, you know, how covered they are. Where in football, it's so much more, it has to be partially animation based because you have 22 players and a variety of formations doing different things on every play. But if the spacing and the player movement isn't where it needs to be, then the animation doesn't even get it, or the rating doesn't even get a chance to determine what's going to happen. Hoping that makes sense. And in a way, 2K has to operate the same way, but the difference there is that it's easier to, you know, handle like basketball spacing and, you know, defensive assignments than in football. Just a more complex game with more moving parts and more possible things that can happen. Like NBA would be messed up if like defense was constantly like, you know, a couple feet off. But it's not. Yeah, I like this formation a lot. This one's pretty fun. What do I think about archetypes in Madden and MLB? I do overall like the archetype system. I think that it definitely helps out the CPU logic. The CPU can make more informed decisions, knowing what the scheme fit is and what a player's archetype is. So roster construction, player upgrading, that kind of stuff gets a little bit better from a logic standpoint. For the user, I still think it's pretty good. For me, I've never liked any RPG system where you are able to basically collectively gain experience from doing anything and then assign what you want to get better. That's just not the way I like my RPG systems. I like, you know, as an example, Skyrim. If you want to get better with, you know, light weapons, light one-handed weapons, you know what you do? You go out into the forest and you start using those weapons. You go to a couple of dungeons and you start actually using the things you want to get better, whereas in games like Fallout, you just gain XP and you'll figure out what gets better when you level up. I've never liked those systems, so I still like archetype over the previous upgrade system. Makes more sense to me. Yeah, Vincent's doing a pretty good job. Ooh, even there, contested. So the archetype system isn't my ideal system. Like, it would have to get more advanced and it would take a lot of time to really make proper. But, you know, imagine your deep route running only gets better when you can connect on plays downfield. Or to get a player's run blocking better, they've got to start run blocking more often and they've got to be winning their matchups. I think an easier one to do would be like, you know, quarterback accuracies if you wanted to improve those. Throw a bunch of 5-yard passes if you want to get your short accuracy up. Or maybe if you have a quarterback with low deep accuracy, then you sparingly take your chances downfield, but you try to hit the ones that are there so it hopefully gets better over time and you can start to try those a little bit more. That's what I've always wanted from a system like that, but unfortunately we are a ways away from anything like that, and franchise and offline in general doesn't get enough love to consider that in my lifetime. If Madden took a year off, do I think they could shore up the system? Honestly, I don't. And the reason being is that if you look where Madden's come in this entire generation, Madden 25 to Madden 20, the leap is not as astronomical as you would think. There are certainly things that have gotten better, but is it really 6 years of development better? Like, 6 years will make you a CD Projekt Red game. This is no CD Projekt Red game. They'd have to change the way they allocate resources, and they'd have to also change the scope of the things they're trying to improve. Taking a year off wouldn't fix it. I think that it would simply allow them a couple extra months to do what they already do, because they wouldn't be finishing a build in the off year. They wouldn't be doing betas and stuff like that, so it would save them a little time. There we go. That's why one of the things I'd like for them to do, because I know they're not going to focus enough on it themselves, is get more advanced sliders in the game so we have a little more control over what we do. You know, if we could build our own tuner, that'd be incredible. If we had the control you get in games like 2K or MLB, we could get a lot closer to the experience we want without hoping that eventually they get better in the next iteration. I think all skills should be based on physical ratings, like agility partially determines short and medium route running. Yeah, I think that would be on the right track, but unfortunately it's way out of reach for this game. And the thing is like, I have this idealistic version of what I want Madden to be. It doesn't have to become really anywhere close to even be a great football game. But there are still some fundamental changes that I think need to happen, and I think that the big one is making as many outcomes as possible rating determined. Definitely like our receivers here. Especially, oh, Elliott Red. Yeah, he's got those long arms. I think he's like 6'5". Isn't Elliott Red 6'5"? Like, that's got to help his range as well to go with his 97 speed. It should be really tough to get the ball past him. 6'5" with 98 speed. Like, you're not going to get a better combination than that at safety. Let's get Antoine Morgan out there. Kicks and punts from the new guys. We should do that. If I don't get around to it today, I will in the other practice stream that I'll do after I edit some stuff. Probably gonna wrap up here sometime soon. We're over the 2-hour mark. Can I try to get a one-handed catch? If I throw it to Sully a few times, I'm sure we'll get it. Little tall on that one. Sorry, the pass was too good that time. I can try to get Sully a one-hander, but it's going to take a few reps. Stan Carter, nice play. You know, I've never tried coach mode in NCAA 14. I haven't really gotten into coach mode in any game. Even in the Bucks series, like, I could be doing coach mode in there, but I do like my just chill in the press box experience during the game, not calling the plays. I'll just make a game plan instead. I really liked playing the game that way. It's really fun. And I feel I'm getting the most ratings-based experience that way. The way I watch games, CPU style. Just kind of stumbled onto that formula. Remember, what kind of led to that series was that little Detroit Lions experiment I did. Remember that series? I think I did a year or two with the Lions, and it was basically the Browns and Cardinals and Bucks rebuild, but I didn't really know what I was doing, and I was just kind of winging it for a live stream series. But it helps get us to where we are now. And now, obviously, Browns, Cardinals, Bucks have been a really fun series. The biggest standout so far? Well, Colt Sully's made the splashiest of plays. DeHonte Jeffries and Elliott Red have both looked really good out there. Red is a lot better as a safety away from the line than he is as a linebacker near the line. His range, his ball skills, cover ability have all been on display. Hard to say if it's because of ratings, but he has been a little late getting to a few of these plays that you'd like to see him make. But I think that he's going to be a game changer at safety, and he'll allow me to play a lot of cover one, and he can cover some ground. Like right here, that's a tough play for some safeties to make. He's got to go all the way across the field, and he does it while maintaining a good position advantage the entire route. At no point does Sully have a real chance of winning that. What kind of offense will he run this year? I think it'll be very similar to what you saw last season. I'm not really sure how I'd describe it because I feel that it's not trying to be too much of one thing over the other. But I feel that, you know, with our offensive line a year into a lot of their development, I definitely want to try keeping this offense fairly vertical. I just think that with some of the playmakers we have, they are best down the field. And I want to take advantage of Edwards and Chambers, Houston. These guys aren't like the most polished receivers, but they're really good on short passes after the catch, and they can create some space downfield. Like it's the Big 12. I suppose it's kind of going to be a Big 12 offense with a little more running mixed in. Ooh, nice play. Right in the face mask. I also wonder how much losing Johnny Cabral affects this running game, because I think he was the MVP of our run game last season. If you watch a lot of those long Austin Jenkins runs, many of them were opened up thanks to Johnny Cabral. However, 4 out of 5 starters return, all got development, so you have to think the offensive line is still in a really good spot. But I do think that there's a good chance we have minor regression on the ground this season. Also, we had some really big games last year we can't count on again, like the 300-yard performance for Jenkins. This year, I do think he'll have less rushing yards. I'd say closer to 1,200 than the 15-plus he had a year ago, which is still good. But I think that the running game is set for a little step back. I think that Luke Irvin will probably have more yards passing this season. And I think that we're going to have a couple different receivers over like 15, 16 yards a reception. I also think we're going to have 2 players over 1,000 yards receiving this year. I think Maddox will be one of them. And at receiver, I think it'll be Sherrod Edwards. Who will emerge as the best pass rusher? I'd have to say Somerville getting back to his freshman form. Wow! That was cool. I'm going to go Somerville. That was sick. Stan Carter. He's going to break on this football, get a hand on it, and he's going to find it again. That's one way to get it done. Any breakout players you guys think could have big seasons? Wow, Shannon Somerville on a zone drop. Hard to throw it over his head. Sick catch by Vincent. Oh. Yeah, I guess I always forget that West Virginia is in the Big 12, aren't they? I kind of wish that conferences would reshuffle a bit every now and then. Not saying major, like there are some rivalries that I don't think you want to mess with, but I think it'd be really fun to see some teams just, maybe the teams that aren't like top caliber. Like if the Minnesotas of the world, if Minnesota went to the MAC for a year, or if West Virginia joined the ACC, I think it'd be cool. Tradition in college football, I think, is great, but I think there's a way to improve a lot of the other stuff. Yeah, I want them to be semi-region based. Like, I don't think you should have any East Coast, West Coast, time zone conflicts in there. you want to make travel reasonable for fans as well. But I mean, a lot of teams fit into multiple conferences. It's not always multiple big conferences though. Like if you're on the West Coast, it's kind of Pac-12 or bust in the MAC or the Mountain West. Probably not going to see any of them in the Big 12. Although you could fit, you know, like Arizona State, they could go to the Big 12. It'd fit. It'd work. I didn't get rid of any team to put in the Warhawks. So I made it an odd numbered division conference. The entire Big 12 is in the South and Iowa State is in the Midwest. Exactly. Iowa State isn't anywhere close to those schools. Nothing north of Kansas City makes sense, really. Iowa State, I mean, wouldn't they be better off in the Big 10? And we can send Maryland back to the ACC. I don't know. I think tradition's cool, but I also get tired of seeing the same games all the time, even in the NFL. Like, the Patriots playing the Bills, Jets, and Dolphins. 6 games a season. Kind of over it. They haven't meant much in a long time. Since, like, the Wildcat game against Miami, I'm not sure I've cared about any of those meetings. Like, imagine if we got a little movement there. We could have New England, Pittsburgh, Baltimore, and then Buffalo can stay. That'd be a cool division. Are we really going to miss out on more Steelers-Bengals games? Or what if we got, like, you know, Kansas City out of the West and into the AFC South with, like, Houston. Or the biggest geographical head scratcher in the NFL, the Dallas Cowboys in the NFC East. I'm pretty sure Dallas is closer to the Mountain Time Zone than the Eastern Time Zone. Can I get clarification on that? Nice play, Red. Yeah, the NFC North isn't one that I really have an issue with. It's the ones that grow stale. Even if they wanted to mess with the NFC and AFC North, like if they swapped the Lions for the Colts, like that'd be fine. There are certain rivalries I'd never want to break up. Packers, Bears. There aren't as many long-standing rivalries that have mattered for a long time in the NFL, but there are still some really good ones. But I think a lot of those rivalries come and go. Like the Patriots and Colts is not a rivalry game really anymore. It's not Brady versus Manning. I like to see some movement, but it's probably never going to happen. Or at least, I don't know, make the schedules more interesting. The entire NFC East is a rivalry. Yeah, it's been that way just because no one's had like full control of that one. Like the last 20 years, it's just constantly bounced between teams. But like the AFC East being what it is does nothing for the NFL. Or what about like in the NBA? What do you guys think about the way the NBA does it? They have divisions, but the divisions seem to matter like less in the NBA than any other league I've ever heard of. I almost kind of like it that way. Like imagine in the NFL, If we simply had AFC, NFC, and then like every team had like one rival they'd play like, or one or two rivals they'd play twice a year. I guess we'd be getting back to divisions at that point. I'd be recreating it. That's a bad idea, actually. But in football, the way things go, you kind of want the home and home with your division rivals and stuff. I don't know. I think my whole thing here is I'm just trying to get the Patriots out of the AFC East and trying to figure out a way that makes sense. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, Pats have an easy playoff run every year. Yeah, I mean, they are the best team in the league, but they also get to play on the easiest difficulty in the league. There's a nice pass. Put Dolphins in South, Colts in the East. That would work geographically. And it would make it more interesting, yes. Oh, Sully can't bring it in. Put Dolphins in the ACC. Oh, man. Do we have to have the conversation at some point this year if the Dolphins are as bad as the 0-16 Lions and the 0-16 Browns? Like, is that a conversation we're going to have pretty soon? If they start out like 0-8, I think it starts. Yeah, my gut feeling too, Mark, is that this team is worse than those two. They've allowed 40 points a game, and that's 10 more than the Falcons, who are the second highest points allowed per game. Granted, they've played some good teams. They gave up a bunch to the Patriots and the Ravens. If they give up 40 this weekend, they are officially worse than the 0-16 Browns. Terry McLaurin's going to have like 3 touchdowns. Chris Thompson's going to catch 2 touchdown passes and have 120 yards, which basically means that Case Keenum's going to have one heck of a game. Is he playing? Is he starting? I believe Keenum's starting. You know, a lot of teams come out and that first game after their coach is fired, they got an extra edge. We've seen that so often over the years. So I'm definitely not picking Miami tomorrow. Matt Ryan had 395 yards in one game and they had 10 points. Yeah, Ryan can pad his stats with the best of them. Sometimes it's his fault, though. I know he's had some red zone mistakes this season. Kenyon Drake needs to be traded for my fantasy purposes. Oh, man. I thought it was the year of Kalen Ballage, and then they tried to throw him the football again and again. And I'm not sure if you guys have seen the montage of Kalen Ballage trying to catch the football this year, but wow, it's not great. I still think he could be a decent in-between the tackles runner, but if you can't catch the ball, you are going to have a very light role in the modern NFL. What team did I swap out to start the Dynasty? That was UAB, because in real life, their program had folded. And then it was brought back later on. Yes, he ducked under a pass. That was a thing that happened. As a Miami fan, I hurt. Sorry, it's just not your year. Hopefully the Canes can make up for the lack of Dolphin success. Imagine being the person or group of people that have to run like the Dolphins Twitter account this season. Like, what do you even do? Ooh, that's nice coverage by Stan Carter. I'm a Gator fan, though. Well, they're pretty good, too. Although college season always ends before NFL, unless you're going to a late bowl game. So it'd be nice to have a football team on Sundays to count on. Get them next game, maybe, yeah. That can be your scheduled tweet for the next 13 or... No, not 13, like 11 Sundays. Which state city has had the worst luck sports teams-wise? Well, I mean, Minnesota's up there ever since 1991. For NHL, NBA, NFL, MLB, they have not even appeared in a championship game. Not a conference championship game. They've made plenty of those. Vikings have a few times in my lifetime. Not the Twins. The Wolves had the 1 year where they ran into the Lakers. That was pretty good. And the Wild have had a couple chances but never made it to the Stanley Cup. Pretty rough. And that's a long stretch of time, okay? It's my whole lifetime plus a year. Twins won the series in 91. I was born in 92 and cursed the entire state. I apologize. I left, and I hope I brought the curse with me. And I've lifted Minnesota as a state. But there are some other teams that have had issues in the same stretch. Obviously, Cleveland got their ring with LeBron, so they're basically, you can't give Cleveland sympathy for at least 10 years post-title, I say. Yeah, I remember, like, growing up, a lot of people hated the Cowboys because they had just gotten done dominating the 90s. I didn't get into football until, like, the early 2000s. But, like, since that time... Like, even the Vikings have been far more successful than the Cowboys have. But the Cowboys, obviously, very good in the 90s. So, I feel a dynasty, a title, 10 years before you get any sympathy. A dynasty, 30. 25, 30 years, at least. And I know we're closing in on that for the Cowboys. However, the Mavericks have won some championships. So, while it's not the same sport, I feel there's also a little rule there. Where, like, an off-sport title, that's like 5 years on the sympathy clock. I need to make this a more technical scale, probably. But I think we can all agree on what I have so far. Yeah, Boston, like, 3,050 is when your sympathy clock runs out for all the titles. The Bruins, the Red Sox, the Patriots. Is there a team I'm forgetting about? Tennessee has horrible luck? Yeah. What is it? Since Mike Jones in the Super Bowl? Hasn't really been much from, like, volunteer football, from the Titans. What have the Grizzlies done? I forgot the Celtics. Yeah, I'm like, oh, these three teams won titles. What's the other one again? Oh, yeah. The team that was supposed to be really good a year ago. Chambers got destroyed. How good are the Celtics supposed to be this year? They got Kemba Walker, right? No Kyrie. They got Kemba Walker. Always interesting when a team makes a move like that. Not saying that like Walker is on Irving's level, but it's like it's not like there's a major hole left at point guard. That's how I thought things were going to be when the Vikings replaced Troy Williamson, or replaced Randy Moss with Troy Williamson. But that was a long time ago, okay? I didn't know better. I thought there was a Randy Moss caliber player that came out of the draft every year, and I just automatically assumed that Troy Williamson was that player. Looking back at Williamson's stats, like obviously a lot more goes into a scouting report, but just his stats alone, I can't believe he went round 1. Man, the practice conversation always gets really good around this point. Troy Williamson in college. It might be somewhat difficult to find. I'm going to find it, though. Here we go. He had 91 career catches, 1,700 yards, 13 touchdowns. He played sparingly his first 2 years, and then 800 yards, 7 touchdowns his junior season, averaging 19 yards a reception. I did think it was a little less productive, but I'm pretty sure it was first receiver taken that year, and if not, it was still round 1 pretty early to Minnesota. Oh yeah, I was too young to realize you weren't replacing Randy Moss, even if you hit on the pick. My favorite player that isn't highly rated by everyone else. That's a great question. Basically saying who my favorite underrated player is. Off the top of my head, the player that comes to mind is probably Will Fuller. I think there are a fair amount of people that highly rate him, but I think, like, if we can get a full season of healthy play from Will Fuller, it's going to be special. Like, I was really down on Fuller coming out of Notre Dame because of the drops, and because overall I don't value deep threats. There are very few deep threats that can actually separate themselves from everybody else. Like, how many players in the last 10 years have had Deshaun Jackson's career? 1. Deshaun Jackson. 10 plus years as a great deep threat. Deep threats do not impact the game the way teams expect when they take him in round 1. But Will Fuller looks like he could be the next Deshaun Jackson caliber deep threat. There are some deep threats that'll have a few good years, like Torrey Smith at the beginning of his career. But I think Will Fuller is better than a lot of the deep threats that have come through the league in the last 5 to 10 years. And I think that if we just get that healthy year, he's going to have a monster season with Deshaun Watson. Yeah, Hopkins hasn't scored a touchdown since week 1, I'm pretty sure. And against the Chiefs tomorrow, I'd say you can count on DeAndre Hopkins scoring. I think that he gets back in the end zone at least once tomorrow. I can't see him not finding the end zone. Jordan Howard has been disrespected his whole career. If you only watched his games against the Vikings, he's like a Hall of Famer. Howard's solid back. I do think his reputation has fallen off a cliff in the last couple of years, though. As a rookie, I thought he was a pretty good receiving back, and then he didn't show that same ability later in his career. But he's still a good between the tackles runner, and he does have some receiving success this year. He had that monster game against Green Bay. But yeah, Howard's you know, a player that I wouldn't be surprised if there's a small group of people that think is borderline top 10 or something. Oh yeah, the Bears series. Yeah, he and Tariq Cohen, future Hall of Famers. Which sport has the best playoffs in your opinion, and why? Another good question. To me, being an NFL fan, the NFL playoffs are the most exciting. I like winner-take-all style playoffs. I like that a 9-win team can go up against a 13-win team and be on their best day and knock them out of the playoffs in a matter of 3 hours. I think that's a good thing. I mean, the NFL, with the wild card rounds and then round 2, you got 4 teams that won a first round game versus 4 teams that earned a bye. I love the divisional round. And it doesn't take too much time. Although I did grow an appreciation for the NBA playoffs last season, and there is definitely a nice element you get there when you talk about, you know, series comebacks and the storylines throughout a 7-game series. I still feel 7 games for basketball is too many. I think 5 for basketball would work great. I don't mind 7 for baseball, but I wouldn't even mind if it was never more than best of 5. But I still had a really good time watching the NBA playoffs last year. But also, gotta shout out the March Madness tournament. That's fun. Single elimination, 64 teams. The first week of March Madness is the most fun postseason week there is. Yep, I'm recording this on an old Elgato game capture, not the HD60. The kind of Elgato I'm capturing on right now, you'd probably have to look on like eBay or something to find, because they're like the first Elgatos that came out. The reason I use this one is because it has an S-video port, and that allows you to capture 1080p from the PlayStation 3, which had HDCP protection, so you can't use an HDMI cord to capture from it. Alright, the Bucks upload's gonna be here in just a few minutes, actually. I am going to wrap up the stream, everybody. That was a fun few hours here with Kalispell Warhawk football. Hope you all had a good time today in the off-season. Please leave a like if you haven't already done so, and subscribe to the channel. And the return of the Warhawks hitting the football field will be this week. I'll do the edited off season. I'll do a live stream of the one more practice. And then our first game, which I'm not sure our opponent yet because I haven't set the schedule. But hopefully it's a good game. Fresno's going to be week 2 though, so it won't be that game. Might be a tougher one in week 1. Practice stream, I don't know what day yet. What's it like living in Minnesota, thinking about moving there for a career opportunity? I do like, obviously, growing up there. Liked it a lot. It's just the winters really ate at me after a while, and I really didn't want to continue dealing with them. But overall, like, quality of life, I think is very good in Minnesota. I think it's, you know, the place I'd want to be from May through September. Definitely fun those months. If you can handle the winters, then you'll be just fine. But the winters aren't just like a thing you deal with. It's about half the year. It's very cold. You know, it's snowing in October now. It's been snowing in April, and between then it's cold and there's more snow. But I would definitely still recommend that if you can handle the weather, to definitely consider Minnesota. I think it's a great place. Oh yeah, I'll check out Bond's ratings first. Montreal Bonds is their best player. How about that? 89 overall. You don't gotta worry about him starting. So there you have it. Alright everybody, that is going to do it for this stream, but I'll see you all again soon. I'll have another stream this coming week. Thank you for all the new members, all the super chats, and all the likes and subscriptions. And I will see you all with some more content here in a little bit with the Buccaneers franchise. Have a great weekend everybody, enjoy some football, and I'll